Hi, today we're going to start with my tomato salad. We got tomatoes, cucumbers, and some hot peppers. Basically that's all I put in there. But you could add onions if you like. A lot of times I like to add red onions. That's not what traditional what my mom would do, but my mom used to make this salad for us all the time. My dad loved it. And I have a video on YouTube of this already, but I just thought I'd redo it so you could actually see how I actually make it. So I cut some of the skin off the cucumber, especially if it's from the garden. The skin is really good. If it's from the supermarket, I usually peel the skin off because they put wax or something like that on it. But I cut them into little dice, and let's see, that one. And then I put some salt on right away because the cucumbers, they love salt. So I put about a teaspoon of salt and give them a little stir so it can start working in there. As you can see that cucumbers love salt. And then I just start cutting up my tomatoes. And what I do, let's see, I put as many tomatoes as I like, but usually, well, for this recipe, I'm just going to put 4 so I can show you. And my mom always cut her tomatoes like this in big chunks, so in tradition that's how I do it. Sometimes I do them on the cutting board, but growing up my mom never used a cutting board. My grandma, they just cut like this, usually with a big long knife. And I lost that knife in a fire that we had, but I wish I had it, but she never used a cutting board. She always cut it like this, which some people think is dangerous, but I'm so good at it I could do all my fruits and vegetables like this because I did it like that for years and years. I started watching cooking shows, and then I learned, start doing it on cutting boards. And I remember when I first got this cutting board, I actually found it in Washington State. Oh, there goes a motorcycle. Hope that didn't mess up. I got the door open for some fresh air. But I went to Washington State to visit my son Joey, who was stationed there, and I found this cutting board, and I actually purchased it and put it in my suitcase and traveled all the way back to New York with it. Because cutting boards are very expensive, and I got this big solid renewable wood. Well, I guess this is getting pretty full here. It's renewable wood, so it's good for our environment. But so that was 4 pretty big tomatoes, nice juicy summer tomatoes. And then I usually put about 3 hot peppers, 2 to 3 hot peppers, depending on how much. So I usually just cut the tips off, and I put the seeds and everything right in. If they're not too hot, I smell them and try to see if they're too hot. Sometimes if they're hot, or like this one is probably a mild one, I'm sure by the color, but sometimes they can fool you. I throw those in, and we like it hot, so sometimes I take some of the seeds out, but not very often. And I like the big chunks. I mean, some people like to put the little bitty chunks in there, so if they're too hot you don't really taste them, but I like the hotness. And you let this marinate in your fridge. You can keep it, a few 3-4 days right in your fridge because it has the oil and vinegar in it, so it stays pretty good. Let's see. Now we're going to put another teaspoon of salt because the tomatoes love salt too. And then I'll put a teaspoon of pepper. I love ground pepper in everything, but especially with salt and tomatoes, or cucumbers and tomatoes. Okay, give it a stir. Let me clean this up a little bit. And let's see. The olive oil, I usually use extra virgin, but you can actually use regular olive oil, or you can even use vegetable oil. It doesn't matter, just olive oil is just better for you, but it tastes good either one. That's 1/8 of a cup. I might have to add a little bit more. And then I use red wine vinegar, so I'm going to put 1/8 of a cup of that, along with 1/4 of a cup, and we may have to add more, it depends. We're going to give it a taste and see where we're at. And the juice and the tomatoes and the cucumbers are going to make a lot of juice. So we'll see where we're at. We might need more pepper, more salt, more oil or vinegar, it depends. And what you do is mix it up and see how you like it. The flavors are going to change a little after you put it in the fridge, but just give it a taste and see where it's at. And it definitely could use another teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to go for another 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Just a 1/2. And see where we're at with that. It's looking so good. I hope you can see it in the camera really good. It makes a lot of juice. I don't know if you can see all that juice. That's not like mostly oil and vinegar. Some of that's from the tomatoes and the cucumbers, and it's going to even make more juice. Let me just try it again and see. Oh, it's so good. It's perfect. So now I would put this in the fridge and serve it for dinner, which we're having for dinner tonight. And you can eat it again 2, 3, 4 days. It'll still be just as good. The cucumbers get a little mushy, but they're still really, they taste good. They just look funny, you know, they get mushy. But I hope you enjoy it. It's the best salad ever. That's what I'm going to call it. It's my mother's salad. I didn't invent it, but people have asked me for a long time for the recipe, and I finally put it on here. So I hope you enjoy it. There's a close-up view of it. Try it, see if you like it. Let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching.